Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of Noodle Journey, where we'll be looking at one of the most interesting instant noodle products I've seen to date. Yes, you read the title right. This is Unif's artificial beef with sauerkraut flavor. My wife said to me last week, "Hey, why don't you go for something super exotic for your next video?" Friends, I have no idea if this counts as exotic, but it is certainly not a flavor of instant noodles I ever expected to see when I started this channel. But here we are. Beef. And sauerkraut. Unif, and I hope I'm saying that correctly, is a Chinese brand I had never heard of before now, but this wasn't hard to find in the US. I paid $1.99 for this from YumiBuy, and considering the size of this product, I think that's a pretty good value, assuming it doesn't taste like shit. This was a total impulse purchase. When I order new noodles, either to review on this channel or to eat on my own time, I generally go in with a plan knowing what I want. Either something new to try that I read about online, or an old favorite for my personal private face stuffing. These noodles were not part of the plan. They were a new product on YumiBuy at the time, no reviews or anything, and something about this just spoke to me. I love sauerkraut, I love beef broth, and of course I love noodles. And all of them together? Well, this seemed just weird enough that I had to buy it. I don't know if I'm going to be disgusted or pleasantly surprised or something in between. Cool. I should mention that this being an artificial beef flavor means that the quote-unquote beef flavor comes from salt, MSG, yeast, soy extract, that kind of thing. The same as a lot of powdered beef soup bases. These are definitely vegetarian, I think maybe even vegan, but the ingredients list is really dense and I may have missed something when reading it, so just double check me if you are vegan and want to buy this. The sodium content is 2,290 milligrams, or 95% of our daily allowance. So I am going to need a lot of water and a nap after this. Yowza. This is our current winner for the highest sodium in a single package to date. Let's see what's inside. We've got a little fork. That's cool. We won't be using that, but it's convenient if you need one. So we've got a nice sized block of noodles, and we've got, well, I'm not sure which is which, but we've got a vegetable pack, a sauce pack, and a seasoning pack. The vegetable pack is supposed to contain pickled mustard greens, pickled chili, and pickled ginger, which is pretty far removed from the usual instant noodle combo of scallion and carrot. To cook, the instructions say to dump everything into the bowl and pour boiling water to the line, cover, and let it sit for 3 minutes. So let's do all that. So it turns out this purple package that felt like a liquid soup packet is actually the pickled vegetables, and they smell strong, but maybe in a good way. So I'm assuming that this is the powder seasoning packet. Yep. And then the sauce packet, which looks like it has whole grain mustard in it, and I'm sure some other good stuff. Alright, and now I'm going to get the boiling water. For your records, I took the liberty of measuring, and it's roughly 2.5 cups of water to the fill line of this. All right, and the 3 minutes is up. So let's stir all this together and see what we've got. I'm definitely getting very, very strong aromas of ginger. Ginger is not my favorite, but it has its place. So let's see how this tastes. Let's talk about the noodles first. They're not great. They're about on par what you would get in your 30-cent bag of top ramen. They do the job in that they provide a vessel for the broth and the greens to get to your mouth, but they're not that good. They've got that kind of cardboardy, cheap texture. Not the worst I've had on this channel, but this could have benefited from some better noodles. So I'm going to give these noodles a 3.5 out of 10. Now let's talk about the spice. Do you consider sauerkraut or ginger to be spicy? I know some people with very mild palates who would say so. So on top of all the pickled flavor of the mustard greens, there is a lot of pickled ginger in here, and there's a lot of chili in here too. Anyway, all this to say, this is a lot spicier than I really expected it to be. So I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10 on spice, and say just be careful if you were expecting this to be a mild or sour flavor. And now, what everyone is dying to know, how does it taste? I don't know that I would say that this tastes exactly like sauerkraut. It tastes like someone in Germany called someone in China on the phone and explained what sauerkraut was. I mentioned with the spice that it has a lot of pickled ginger in here. If you like ginger and mustard, you will like the flavor of this. I don't like an abundance of ginger in my food, so this isn't speaking to me like it might to someone else, like my wife who can't get enough ginger. But I really like these mustard greens in this broth. They don't taste exactly like sauerkraut either, but they steamed up nicely, and they taste pretty good on their own. The broth is pretty oily, probably from that liquid mix-in or the pickling juice, so that might turn some of you off. Overall, I wouldn't say that this necessarily fits the definition of sauerkraut the way you're thinking. But it does provide a fairly spicy, fairly sour, very gingery kick, and if you like those sort of things, this is for you. I'm going to say a little less ginger in this would have worked much better for me. So as an overall score based on my own personal taste and the noodle quality, this is a 6 out of 10 for me. I will finish this. I don't think I would order it again, but I'm glad I tried it. Well, hi again, everyone. This is not something I normally do, but as I ate more and got down near the bottom of this bowl, I realized that I needed to change my review just a little bit. First off, let me just say that I still probably wouldn't buy this again. But despite all the stirring back when it finished cooking, a lot of the sauerkraut flavor settled in the bottom of this bowl, and more of the ginger flavor ended up at the top. For whatever reason. I don't know the buoyancy of ginger versus the buoyancy of mustard, so who knows what the scientific explanation for that is. But as I got further down into this, there's a lot more flavor in this than I originally thought. The noodles haven't improved, but it's actually started to taste a lot more like sauerkraut the further down to the bottom I get. And I'm guessing that's because of the way the ingredients like the mustard seeds stayed at the bottom. And I don't think any amount of stirring could have really fixed that. You guys watch me stir this every time I took a bite. So I'm actually going to amend my previous score. Instead of being a 6, this is a 6.5. Still not necessarily great, but the flavor is much more interesting than I initially gave this credit for. That's all I have to say, and now back to my originally filmed conclusion of this video. So, this doesn't exactly make me excited to try any other Unif products because those noodles aren't the best. But if something else comes along that might be a more interesting flavor than your standard beef or chicken ramen that Unif makes, I will probably end up buying it just to say that I've tried it. If you like all the flavors I described in this and you don't mind that the noodles are subpar, I think you should try this. It's definitely cheap, the portion is really good for the price, and it's interesting enough to try once. Maybe you'll like it and you'll want to buy it again. What's the most off-the-wall instant noodle flavor you've tried? Let me know in the comments. This is definitely mine at this point, but who knows, maybe I'll find something even weirder that I can't wait to try. Until then, please like and subscribe to continue on this noodle journey with me.